So Gus Rantz is a name you have probably heard, and he is running for office. This gentleman has agreed to come into the studio and let me just pepper him with questions. So, Gus, thanks for letting me do this.
Thank you so much, Bernie, for having me. I'm excited to be here.
This is very fun. All right, so for those who are like, Bernie, I'm not really familiar with Gus. All right, tell us about Gus Rantz. Tell us about you growing up and, you know, what you're doing now, et cetera. Give us the bio, Gus.
I'm going to give you the bio.
Yeah.
My parents love the bio, by the way, because it paints them in somewhat of not a great light, which is not true. I have phenomenal parents. But I'll start at the beginning.
Okay.
I was born in government subsidized housing in New Orleans East.
Mm-hmm.
My mother loves this. My mother was a teenage mother.
Uh-huh.
My dad was a college dropout Vietnam veteran. Now, that's not who they are.
Right, but that's a hell of a
how
story.
They started, right?
Right, yeah.
My grandfather used to describe them as two lost balls in the high weeds that found each other. Now, I will say, I tell you that story because I have, like I said, I have tremendous parents that I watched growing up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my dad went back to school, went to nursing school, went to anesthesia school. He's always had a business mind. My mother's one of the smartest ladies and has corrected my post today.
Mm-hmm.
She sends me a little text saying,
Say,
you might
hey.
need a comma here or something. But
I love that.
Look, they worked their tail off.
Yeah.
And they helped get us out of that and provide a better life.
That's the American dream right there.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have the opportunities that I've had in my life without them and their guidance. So, but we moved around a lot.
Yeah, right. Gotcha.
People often ask if I was an Army brat, you know, but we moved around a lot. We started in New Orleans. The first apartment we lived in was I think more heavily populated with rats and roaches.
Really?
than people. But
yeah.
the second apartment we lived in was better. It was cleaner.
Okay.
And so then we moved to Alexandria, Louisiana, where I spent a number of years. Went to Nachman High School. My brother went to high school there.
Uh-huh.
Before a lot of people know my brother is Ronnie Rantz. He played baseball at LSU, won 2 national championships, played in the pros a little bit. My brother was left-handed. We'll get to my story later. I was right-handed. That's really the only difference.
Okay.
The only difference. But I didn't have that accolade. So no, I spent a number of years in Alexandria, and then I spent some years in Phoenix, Arizona.
Wow. Okay.
My dad moved out there for a job opportunity. Actually, with Gary Hall, who was an Olympic swimmer.
No kidding.
Became an ophthalmologist.
Wow.
And so that's how we kind of got our start out there. My dad got into a little bit of the business side of medicine, which kind of shapes and colors the rest of my life.
Right.
We moved back to Lafayette, Louisiana in 1996. I was a senior in high school. I graduated from STM. So that was really my laying down my roots. So my parents have been here ever since, and I've officially probably been here ever since. But so from STM, which was a phenomenal experience, and they welcomed me with open arms. It really couldn't have been better. It's tough to move as a senior in high school.
That's what I was just thinking to myself. I'm like, God, how gut-wrenching for a young person.
But it was prepping me for the rest of my life, and I'll explain.
Okay.
I'll explain that. I did attend USL.
Mm-hmm.
However, I attended 4 other colleges, junior colleges, and universities along my travels as well.
Right.
So I'll run through just the states really quickly.
Okay.
I was in Mississippi in junior college. I was in Louisiana. I was in Kansas at Pratt Community College. I went to the University of North Carolina, Wilmington.
Wow.
And then I met my wife at Missouri Valley College in Missouri. Now, along the way, I was playing baseball. As I mentioned earlier,
okay, yeah.
I was a right-handed pitcher. I threw a little bit harder than my brother. However, I will admit he had a big league curveball that I did not possess.
That you did not possess that, right? Okay.
So when I got done at Missouri Valley College, I say this a lot of times too. I turned down a very lucrative bus ticket and a Snickers.
Oh yeah, right.
and to play baseball, and I decided to go to law school.
Right. Okay. And so you have the best sense of humor, by the way. You really do. It's great. It's great.
It's who I am. I'm sure sometimes it's a bit much for my wife, but my kids love it, and they have the same sense of humor.
Right. So yeah. So they're like,
again,
this
I apologize,
is
honey, for that. All right, so I got married. I went to law school where I focused really on healthcare at law because I knew I was going to want to do that. I grew up in and around healthcare. When I got out, I practiced healthcare regulatory compliance, mergers and acquisitions, and was really enjoying that side of things. I enjoyed the practice of law. I enjoyed problem solving, but I knew I kind of had a business mind, and I knew that wasn't going to be where I would land forever. Fast forward not that many years later, I got an opportunity to work with my father and my partner Tim Howard in a company called Acadiana Management Group, which was kind of a fledgling startup company at the time, hospital management company. And we were about to get tossed the keys to a specialty hospital. What I do for background is long-term acute care specialty hospitals and inpatient physical rehab hospitals. It's not walk-in business. These patients have usually had a bad day, week, month, years of their life.
I would bet.
Especially LTACs, it's the sickest patient population in America. So they're very, very sick patients, and they require a lot of care. Ventilators, trachs, wounds, strokes at the rehabs, that sort of thing. So when I tell you about post-acute specialty hospitals, that's what they are. So at this time, my father and my partner Tim were basically getting tossed the keys to this hospital, and they called me up and said, "Hey, what do you know about LTACs?" I said, "Well, probably more than you, but not a heck of a lot more than that." So we wound up, all three of us started working together. We worked with some amazing physicians, some of them still here locally that work with Our Lady of Lourdes, and we were able to save that hospital. And I'd love to tell you it's because we had this brilliant business plan and strategy that came from some Ivy League college, but that would be an absolute lie. The truth is, we worked our tail off. We made a lot of mistakes. Sometimes we were luckier than good. We had a tremendous amount of people helping us, and we wound up saving that hospital.
Gus, I love that you're so just, here's my life, and here's the way that we did it. That's really, I think, beautiful for you to kind of share that way about it. It's not like, I had this super duper plan. You're like, here's how it laid out.
I mean, you can't, and that's what I learned growing up watching my parents is there's no substitute for hard work. Yeah, you need intelligence and you need know-how and specialty, but there's no substitute for hard work. And so I was blessed to be able to have that instilled in me at an early age. So, like I said, we saved this one hospital. Not long after that, we get a phone call. "Hey, we hear you guys can turn around hospitals." Right? Well, we've done it once.
Well, let's try again, right?
And so we did it again, and we were able to save another hospital and another one, and eventually one of our competitors went out of business en masse, and we took over about 4 hospitals. And like I said, we got really, really good at what we did.
Yeah.
It was no longer luck. Now we actually did have a plan.
Well,
now we actually
and
were
you're
good at it.
problem solvers, right? I mean,
right.
Yeah.
And so we actually built a business that spanned 22 hospitals in 8 states. At our peak, at our zenith, we employed over 2,000 people around the country.
2,000.
And literally, I mean, not me, literally the people on the ground saving lives. I mean, it's not hard to get excited about that when you're looking at the numbers and seeing things and saving lives. Now here comes, there's always the turn in every story, right? I mean, you can't just all be roses. Although it was for a lot of my life, I got to say, I was blessed in business to make a lot of good decisions more than bad.
You have this, so Gus Rantz has some sort of turn.
So we built, we built this business up, and we have over 2,000 employees in 8 states. But we deal with the federal government.
Oh, yeah.
The state government also to some degree, but quite frankly, elderly patients that are really sick tend to find their way to Medicare.
Right,
and the government's in charge of Medicare and has been forever. Well, the government, as they want to do, decided to change entirely the way that our hospitals would operate and be reimbursed and the patients that would be eligible to come to our hospitals.
Basically the entire structure.
And because we're somewhat of a niche, it didn't make front page news about what a giant change this was.
Okay.
I mean, that'd be blood in the streets if it was traditional, big box hospitals. But we're kind of the redheaded stepchild. We admit that. We save people from dying, and it's expensive, and the government doesn't like that for some reason. I don't know why.
Gosh.
So,
yeah, but this is so dramatic. My goodness.
My entire industry was decimated. We probably 30% of all specialty hospitals in the country closed or consolidated or reduced beds. 30, I mean, that's a huge number.
Oh, yeah, my God.
About 40% of our patient base was virtually eliminated overnight with this change. So it's a giant change. This is not a minor change.
No, this is the big dramatic turn.
And we had built a company. This is the naive and silly me. I had built a company for the previous 10 years at the time, believing what the government was telling me was their strategy.
Right, yeah.
Well, it turns out they decided that wasn't their strategy anymore either. And
we'll go the other direction now.
So we had a giant setback. We wound up closing and selling off and consolidating a lot of hospitals. We went through a reorganization. the toughest time in my life to stand there and look my employees in the eye and tell them, we're gonna do our best, but here's where we are.
Yeah,
and
this is the reality.
And I need you to stick with me because it's going to be tough. And dadgummit, a lot of them did. And I got to tell you, I knew I had a great team before that. I realized what a tremendous team I had during that because they stuck with me. We managed to save about 1,200 jobs. We currently have 11 hospitals in 6 states. And, it was the toughest decision of my life, but you do it. I mean, you have to make tough decisions. That's what leadership's about. It's very easy to be the leader when things are going great.
Yeah, because it's all beautiful and bows and
when you're paying bonuses and vacations, it's very, very easy.
Yeah.
But the requirement of leadership is to lead at all times.
Yeah, that's when it's going to reveal your character.
Not just in the good times.
Yeah.
I tell a story sometimes when I'm out there about my son, AJ. He's 11, and he's like me. He thinks he's hilarious, everything he does.
I love this.
So he asked me one day, he said, Dad, I know you run hospitals, but what is it that you do? So I go kind of into a diatribe about, we take over failing specialty hospitals and very sick patients, and we save the employees and this and that. I was quite satisfied with my answer.
Yeah,
AJ.
that sounds good, right?
AJ being the 11-year-old snarky, he said, he chuckles to that, Dad, I know what hospitals do. No, he doesn't, first of all. I know what hospitals do. But I still don't understand what you do. So I said, all right, smart aleck. So I did. I thought about it. I think it's a fair question. And I said, you know what, bud? Problems find their way to my desk, right? I gather as much information as I can, and then I make the best decision that I can. And I'm pretty dang good at doing that. And it's not a great bumper sticker. I'm not Gus Rantz, he makes really good decisions. It's not,
right, exactly.
Because I've made bad ones.
Right, yeah, absolutely. But that's where you've grown, too, right?
Making tough decisions, making decisions that are for the betterment of my company, quite frankly, as running for office, betterment for our state, even if it's not the most popular thing to do on a Wednesday, if it's still the right thing to do, it's the right thing to do. It doesn't change.
Yeah.
Bad decision making doesn't get better with time.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
And so you have to remove the emotion from it, and it can be cold and callous sometimes. But if you love something, I love my employees. If you love your family, if you love this state the way I do, you have to sometimes make the tough decisions and explain it. And people don't have to accept it, but you have to know why you're doing it.
Amen.
And we were able to do that. We were able to save that our company. My company is AMG, and it's an amazing story given where we've been, where we've gone, and who knows what the next chapter is going to be.
Boy, no kidding, right?
But it's awfully exciting, and I have to always thank my wife. Everybody thanks their wife. I actually mean it when I thank my wife. She's amazing. She indulges me. She puts up with me. She's kind of she whispers in my ear at dinner parties jokes that I take credit for. Right. So she's the perfect partner. We got married when I was 22 years old.
Wow.
And I would love to tell you again, I had this brilliant strategy. I worked it out. We dated for about 6 months before we got engaged. Okay, we've been married for over 17 years. The good Lord.
And the
good Lord was looking out for me.
Right? This is amazing. All right, we're going to continue our discussion. Gus Rantz is joining us to talk, about Gus and life. And then we're going to talk a little, legislature maybe, and leadership and all of those things on the way. We've got more with Gus Rantz coming up.